And our next speaker is my very good friend, Miranda Marquit, and she will tell us how to outsource everything to live your best life. Give it up for Miranda.
Let's make a trade here, Miranda.
Works for me. Time does not equal money. I'm going to use some of my valuable 15 seconds to let that sink in again. Time does not equal money. Time is your most valuable resource. You can always make more money. You cannot make more time. Once you spend that time, it is gone. And that is what outsourcing is about. Outsourcing is about buying more time. And I discovered this as a podcaster. You can probably relate. You record your podcast, it takes you half an hour, then you spend 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever hours it is editing that podcast, and you're going crazy. So then I found a solution. His name is Steve. He is my knight in shining armor. Thank you, Steve. He began editing my podcasts, and this was a great thing because it did something. It made me think, and on top of that, it opened up a whole new world to me. A whole new beautiful world where I didn't have to do as much stuff that I hated doing. Instead, I now had more time to do things that were actually useful in my life. Things like taking client meetings, writing more articles. I'm a freelancer. Writing is my bread and butter. Making a marketing plan and executing it, and even making my podcast better. These are things that actually put money right into my pocket, and they helped me expand my business, all because I outsourced to this man to begin with. Not only that, it's not just about money. I have more free time to do other things. I have time to do things like goof around with my son, go get a pedicure or manicure. You can come and check it out later. I've got it right here. Go camping, and even take a bubble bath with Bubbly. And the reason I could do this was because I figured out what Chris Ducker says are the 3 things you should outsource. 1, things you hate doing every day. 2, things you can't do by yourself, or even things that somebody else can do better. You may be able to do it, but someone else can do it better. And also 3, things you shouldn't be doing. Cleaning and cooking are 2 things that I don't like. I don't like shopping, I don't like cleaning, I don't like making my meal plan. So I started outsourcing those things. I hired somebody to clean my house, and I outsourced to Blue Apron to help me cook my food and make my meal plan. Just those 2 things gave me 4 hours a week. And what I did with those 4 hours, 2 of them I spent working on things that actually made me money for my business, and the other 2 hours I spent with my son. I got dividends. I got dividends for my business and dividends for my personal life. Same thing was true at tax time. Instead of doing my own taxes, I took that 4 or 5 hours I was doing, gave them to an accountant, and instead started making a business plan for my whole year. And that helped my business grow, and it was worth every penny. What about the oil change? I sit down, it takes them 30 to 40 minutes to change my oil. I pay them $60. I make $500 from the article I wrote while I was waiting. That is a return on my time investment. I am glad I outsourced that task. There are plenty of other things that maybe you shouldn't be doing. Editing your podcast, that's one thing. If you don't do well at writing, outsource the writing to someone like me. I'll write for you. You know, there are plenty of things to think about. Social media is another one. When I hired a VA, all of a sudden, my social media posts improved. I hired somebody to help consult with me on social media. My social media improved even more. And that meant more money, and it meant more time for me to maximize my efforts. So that's what you need to think about. What are you doing that is sucking your time away that you should not be doing, and replace it with something else? Now, you guys have probably heard of the Pareto principle. Here it is. 20% of your effort yields 80% of your results. You need to sit down and figure out what is that 20%. That's what you should be focusing on. Everything else, the rest of the things, you should start outsourcing that stuff. The same thing with strengths. Stop trying to turn your weaknesses into strengths. That's not going to help you. Leverage your strengths and outsource your weaknesses, and that will help you. But you can't do it all at once, and you can't afford it. I promise you, you can't immediately afford to start outsourcing everything in your life. So start with one thing. Think of something that would free up 2 hours of your week, and outsource that. And then once you've outsourced that one thing and things start going and you start making more money and you start having more time, keep going. Outsource another thing and another. And pretty soon you will find that you have more time, more money, and that you really are living your best life. Thank you.